Most everybody knows the story of Alice in Wonderland, either through Lewis Carroll's novel, or possibly through the recently released movie. This story is the story of a girl, Alice, who finds one time in her dreams a white rabbit. When she sees this white rabbit in real life, she chases this white rabbit. She encounters many doors and many challenges that she must overcome in her continued search for the white rabbit. And as leaders, especially servant leaders, we encounter many challenges on the way to our goals. So when we look at servant leaders today and we ask, what is the biggest problem facing servant leaders today, and what is the key to overcoming it, we must realize that the challenge that is greatest to these servant leaders is garnering support for their cause. The key to overcoming this? Perseverance. We must persevere with PCP. Popularity, communication, and power. Popularity was a huge struggle for Alice because as she went through the novel and through the challenges, many of the characters in the novel did not like her, especially the Queen of Hearts. She ended up having to fight the Queen of Hearts, in fact. But because of the fact that many of these characters did not like Alice, she found it very difficult in her continued endeavor to search for the white rabbit. As many servant leaders find this difficult whenever people do not like them. This is especially so with political representatives. Political representatives often have a hard time whenever they see low approval ratings, yet they must continue through despite this lack of popularity. They must push the agendas that they wish to push. They must vote on the bills that they want to, and they must try to do the things that they think is best. And if they persevere through this low popularity, people will see that they are indeed trying to do the right things, and then thus they will gain more and more fans. And with this support, you are able to open a new door, the door to communication. Alice struggled very much so in the novel due to the lack of communication that was seen from her and other characters. Many characters, especially the Mad Hatter, found that they were giving her the wrong directions in the search for the white rabbit. Because of this, she struggled in finding the correct door to go through or the correct way in which she needed to go. However, she continued to try to communicate with these characters and eventually found her way. This is also true with servant leaders such as Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Jr. had a huge problem with his communication skills because in the beginning, people did not understand why he was doing the things he did, why he was holding sit-ins and marches rather than the violent riots that were previously held. Yet he continued to try to preach his goals and preach his agenda to the public. And by doing so, he did gain many fans, and he was able to overcome the challenge that he was having before him. So like Alice, we must communicate, and we must continue to communicate to those who are misunderstanding us. And when we are able to communicate, we are able to find the way to another door and go through it. As we go through this door, we see that this is power. Power is a huge struggle, and we must persevere through this in order to gain support for our cause. Blake Mykowski, the founder of Tom's Shoes, who was from Martin High School, by the way. Martin High School. Blake Mykowski was from them. However, when Blake first started out with his idea for Tom's Shoes, all he had was an idea. He did not have much power or much voice, yet he continued to try and do what he wanted to do with giving these shoes to the African kids who needed them. And by doing so and continuing in this struggle, he was able to gain so much power. And now Tom's Shoes is a household brand. Almost everyone in America realizes what Tom's Shoes are and what they are doing for not only America, but for these children in Africa that are desperately needing these shoes. Alice also had a trouble with power in that she lacked the ability in one part of the novel to fit through a keyhole that she wanted to get into. She was able to see her destination, yet she could not fit through. She kept on trying and kept on trying, and eventually the power was given to her, and she made it through the door. So she opened the next door, and this would be the door to looking at servant leaders today. Servant leaders today have the big challenge of garnering support for their cause, yet they are able to overcome this by persevering through the lack of popularity that they may sometimes have. Also, they must continue on their quest to communicate effectively with the maximum amount of people, and also continue despite the lack of power that they may have. As servant leaders in Key Club, we must do the same thing. We must continue to persevere through these three things in order to be able to maximum the amount of fans and the amount of support that we indeed have. And because of this, you must do this with all of your heart. Because if you are on fire for your cause, some people will come just to watch you speak, but others will come just to watch you burn. Thank you.